This is a brief history of serial number 0806, Bob Dye's and Wilson Swilley's race car, from 1975 to 1987. Wilson says, I purchased the 1957 Corvette serial number 0806 from Bob Dye in 1975. It was at a gas station in Berkeley, California, ready to be junked out for body parts. It had no top, windshield, drivetrain, doors, or hood. It did have a heavy-duty 1960 or newer RPO 684 brake system without the cool air routing to the rear brakes. The man at the gas station tried to sell me the car as if he were the owner of the car. I ran a title search and found that the car was last registered to Bob Dye. I searched for weeks and finally ran down two friends of Dye, Howard and Jerry Brown, who got me in touch with Dye. I bought the car for $400 from Bob. The first license plate I was issued to 0806 was California tag number 000NTM. Bob came over to visit several months later as I was looking for this car's history and wanting to restore it to its original condition. Bob brought over his racing pictures and informed me that he had bought the car from a used car lot in Oakland, California through a credit union at the Oakland Tribune where he worked during the 60s. He said he thought it had a 4-speed and 4-barrel small block, unknown if it was original. I was somewhat disappointed because I was hoping it was an original RPO 684, that's regular production option car. Very few people knew of these cars in 1975. So I decided since the car had race history, I would go ahead and build an airbox car, RPO 579E, with the help of Noland Adams. Noland provided me factory specs and blueprints that pertained to an RPO 579E/RPO 684 car. I had no intention of having it judged by NCRS as an original airbox car. Bob had modified the rear of the car radically by removing taillights and using 61-62 style between fender and trunk lid, and by relocating gas fill in the trunk. So I began to look for another body. A friend, Dave Radicke, had a 1957 in his backyard, serial number 4742, which had been wrecked in the front. I bought it and paid Dave to splice the 0806 front end onto the 4742 rear. They were spliced at the center of the seats. I restored the 0806 chassis and placed the spliced body on it. Finishing the restoration, it was presented at Bend, Oregon in 1982 for the first time out, and then was on the cover of the NCRS magazine The Corvette Restorer. There was a mistake made on the serial number in that article. Several months later, Steve Gordon and Bob Bondurant gave me the use of Sears Point to do a feature story for Mike Antoniuk. That would be the Corvette, The Sensuous American, Volume 1, 1983. Note, the license plate for 0806 was RPO 579E at this time. During the restoration of 0806, I had acquired another 57 body, serial number 5966, which had no front end. During the years of building Corvettes, I had collected enough parts from 57 Corvette serial number 1112 to make a complete front end for a 57. This pieced body was placed on number 4742 for years, until 1986. It was never driven, but I did register it in California with license plate number 579E684. In 1986, I decided to vintage race with the Historical Motorsports Association, Steve Earle. During the summer of 1986, a friend, Frank Marshall from Berkeley, California, came out to help me convert 0806 back to the way Bob Dye had the car. I contacted Bob and told him what I was doing and asked if he would come out in November to review the car so we could complete it for driver's school March 5th, 1987 at Laguna Seca. He agreed to come out for a visit in November 1986 and then to meet us at Laguna Seca in March. Frank and I decided that the pieced body on number 4742 would be easier to convert, so we swapped bodies. My wife took pictures during this changeover. Fortunately, I had saved all the parts which were left on 0806 that Bob had on the car during its racing days. The only thing I couldn't find was the sun tachometer. I had the sun sending unit, American mags, mirrors, trailer connector, and Stewart Warner gauges. I did not install, for various reasons, oil low pressure and water temperature warning lights and mechanical temperature sending unit. We made all the following modifications, plus we painted the car 1957 Chevy Matador red, as Di had it. His helmet was the same color. Number 1, tail lights. I used brand new 61-62 style, located between fender and trunk lid. Number 2, gas tank fill, located in trunk. Number 3, the battery, located in trunk. Number 4, electrical fuel pump. I installed a Holly. Original was a Stewart Warner. Number 5, rubber tie-down on trunk. Number 6, roll bar, as he had it. Number 7, mold-in door window openings. Number 8, plexiglass windshield with tachometer on dash. Number 9, hood pins. Number 10, air routed to rear brakes, not originally used by Bob. He also used fiberglass air ducts on backing plates he had made, duplicating 1962 metal style he got from a friend. Number 11, all bumper mounting openings molded in. Number 12, oil cooler system, not original but similar. Number 13, 900R fuel unit. Original was sold in 1977. It had Di stamped on it. It was at the NCRS meet in Berkeley, California in Claremont. Number 14, fiberglass seat and seat belts, Simpson or equivalent. Bob used standard seat with an aircraft style belt. Number 15, lower dash painted black. Number 16, hand painted all numbers, 43, and letters. Number 17, Goodyear Blue Streak tires bought at Castro Valley Goodyear. Note, there were several revisions in the suspension and engine that I did to improve handling for me. In November 1986, Bob Di visited us to review the car while still in primer to see if there were any changes that I might have missed before painting. During the visit, the Midwest Early Corvette Club members came up one day to meet Bob and view the car. Bob brought his original racing helmet to leave with the car. The car was completed in January 1987. March 5th, we met Bob at Laguna Seca and drove the car for 2 great days. I grew very close to 0806 over the 12 years. At one time, I wanted to be buried in it. To see it restored back to the way Di had it, and especially him driving at Laguna Seca, was my reward. I had personal problems during 1987, and finances dictated the sale of the car. Both cars were sold to a gentleman in Pennsylvania. Please understand, the only original part used in the rebirth of Di's car is the frame and a few parts as noted above. The grille shell is very unique and is most likely one of a kind. It was machined from aluminum by a friend in Denver, Colorado. A videotape was made the day we loaded the cars. The history of these Corvettes, serial number 4742 and 0806, from 1975 to June 1987, is as noted above. More details, photos, and other documents are available. The purpose of this brief written history is to prevent these cars from being misrepresented for this period of time.
Good.